I've been in Waikiki over 35 years, and I remember maybe 20, 30 years ago, the issue of cameras on streets, and the ACLU had a problem, and people in neighborhoods were concerned that this could be intrusive, violate a person's privacy, having cameras on streets monitoring traffic.
Okay.
And now a lot of people seem comfortable not only monitoring traffic with cameras, but having those cameras on the sidewalks to monitor crime. So because of Waikiki's position in our economy, people have been requesting more camera footage from Waikiki sidewalks, ideally to keep Waikiki streets safer. So if government is willing to do that, I'm all for anything that may keep the sidewalks safer, keep businesses safe, visitors and residents safe. In addition, though, nothing in my mind is more important than having a police presence on the streets, because that will deter crime. And unfortunately, in part, perhaps because of homelessness or people living on the streets, my impression is that we do see more crime. I was walking through Waikiki at Long's in the old Mitsukoshi building just last weekend, and someone was there carrying a skateboard and a reusable bag, and he filled it with chocolate, macadamia nuts, and ran out of the building. And I and a manager chased this person. There was a parade going on at the time, and we lost him. But I, on a regular basis, witness people shoplifting, sometimes near Ala Moana Center at Target or Walmart, or sometimes in Waikiki. And I think that people who do that, they may be in a tough position in life, but at the same time, we have to stand for the rule of law to keep order. What I try to do to stay in touch is I spend a lot of time on the sidewalks and parks and do a lot of walking. And my perception has been, in part maybe because we've eliminated plastic bags in stores, people bring their own bag, and it may make it easier to shoplift. People who I've spoken with who work in supermarkets and convenience stores, they say that there is a fair amount of crime. We see television news stories, and we also see a number of security measures that these supermarkets and convenience stores employ. So that includes people's at the door, a lot of signage. My experience at Target has been, recently they were telling us to bring in your reusable Target bag, fill it up, then bring it to the counter. But now I believe their store policy is carry a basket, put your items in there, bring them to checkout, then put your items in your reusable bag that you brought. So these are all like anecdotal evidence, but my perception is that theft in that nature is up than in the last few years. Well, an interesting question: to what degree do cameras deter crime, theft, bad behavior? And I think that remains to be seen, because depending on what someone's doing may dictate the effectiveness. But then if something goes to court and there is video footage, that will help prosecutors and law enforcement maybe accomplish what they set out to do and to hold people accountable.
Okay.
But that's going to be a big question. From my experience, the residents of Waikiki, they do stand for a more orderly, clean environment. So they have always wanted to have good laws that you can enforce, and have always asked for a police presence. Residents, as well as people who work in Waikiki, some of their concerns are clean sidewalks, clean streets, because they feel it creates an atmosphere where they feel safer. And unfortunately, when people are in tough circumstances and do sleep on the streets, it creates a feeling that things are not safe. And sometimes we do see some of the people committing crimes, or some of the people who may be living on the streets, and it may be easier to be more reckless when you are not as invested as in maybe living in a home in the surrounding neighborhood. Every safety measure that you might employ is only as good as it is working.
Right.
So one is, do the cameras work?
Mm-hmm.
We do have neighborhoods where there are security cameras that don't work.
Mm-hmm.
Also, to what degree does it deter bad behavior? Just because someone is watching you on camera doesn't mean that you are not going to be like a perpetrator in either a crime or bad behavior.
Mm-hmm.
But as I have mentioned before, like, should something go to court or there needs to be evidence, then that footage can be used.
Right.
Or if you're looking for someone who's been causing trouble and you can publicize an image, then that can also deter the behavior. So in my opinion, the public is much more accepting of cameras in public. And when I was younger in college, I remember it was a situation where the public was not as accepting as having cameras on the streets and did feel it was a violation of privacy. But I think that, that train has left, and it just seems that people are more accepting. They're willing to give up some of their privacy for security. I think part of it is just, different generations have different feelings about issues, and it seems like people who I meet who are younger than me seem much more willing to have governments maybe enter into their privacy more than something I might be comfortable with.